Gunners fans, thank you for coming back to my channel and checking out my video. Today I'm going to be talking about finance and the way Arsenal and football clubs generally do their deals. So I've seen on Twitter a lot of uproar regarding some of the deals Arsenal have been sort of involved in, whether it's they've been linked with this player, linked with that player. Most of it has been a lot of outrage about the Guendouzi deal. You know, how can we have bought this player and we're selling him for like next to nothing? We're losing tons of money, that kind of thing. And it's just not the case. The Guendouzi deal is actually a very good deal. And I know you're thinking, what on earth could you possibly be talking about right now? So let me explain. Let's look at the Grealish deal, okay? We're going to say Grealish valued at around 100 million. Round figure, nice round figure to work with. If we were to sign Grealish for a fee of 100 million on a 5-year contract, the way the club structures the deal for their financials is it's the transfer fee, 100 million, spread over 5 years of the contract. He is, in terms, an asset. And so they spread the cost over the 5 years. And then they use a system of amortization, which is pretty much depreciation of an asset when they go through their financials. So, for example, 100 million on a 5-year term is 20 million per year. So when Arsenal buy him, and he starts his contract, he's worth 100 million. At the end of the first year, you take that 20 million off, he's worth 80 million. At the end of the second year, you take 20 million off, he's worth 60 million. So if Arsenal bought him for 100 million, his annual, the annual outlay for him is 20 million. Then let's say he's on 200,000 a week, which is roughly 10 million. Add the 10 million per year, and the deal has cost Arsenal per year 30 million. Okay, 100 million transfer fee spread over 5 years, 10 million a year in wages. That is 100 million by 5, 20 million plus 10 million wages, 30 million. After a year, Arsenal want to sell him. And let's say they want to sell him for 70 million. People look at it like, oh my God, we bought him for 100 million a year ago, and now we're selling him for 70 million. We're losing 30 million. That's not the way it works. At the end of that first year, he's only worth 80 million because he's depreciated by 20 million based on 1 year gone of a 5-year contract. So he's worth 80 million. We sell him for 70 million. That gives you a 10 million deficit. So we still lost 10 million. However, because we sold him when he had 4 years left of his contract, it means we don't have to pay 4 years of his salary. That was going to be 10 million a year. So 10 million a year by 4 years is 40 million. So all of a sudden, we've got a player who's worth 80 million. We're selling him for 70 million, which is creating a 10 million deficit. But then we are also saving 40 million, 4 years worth of wages on the deal, which then goes onto the minus 10 million, and we end up making a profit of 30 million. That's the way football clubs do their business. So a lot has been made about the Guendouzi deal. So let's break it down. When Guendouzi was bought, he cost 7 million on a 5-year deal. Okay, and that 5-year deal, I'm including the year extension. That breaks down to 1.4 million per year. And he's done 3 years of his contract. So already he's depreciated from 7 million. He's depreciated by 4.2 million to a net worth now of 2.8 million. He is worth 2.8 million to Arsenal at the moment. He does get paid wages. He gets paid 2 million a year. So the remaining outlay on his contract at the moment is 4 million. That will factor in later. So Arsenal now have this asset called Guendouzi, who's worth 2.8 million to the club, and they're going to sell him for 10 million. Well, that's a profit of 7.2 million already. That sounds like good business. People could say, yeah, but, you know, if we'd have sold him a year ago, we'd be getting this amount for him. And, you know, I mean, if, coulda, shoulda, woulda, all of that sort of stuff. Let's just talk about the deal that's happening right now. So it's a profit of 7.2 million, but we're saving 4 million in wages over the next 2 years. So that 4 million then goes on top of that 7.2, and we end up with a profit of 11.2 million pounds from selling him at the moment. That 11.2 million can go back towards the budget. Now let's talk about budget, because budget is another area that we seem to get wrong. Every year we hear Arsenal they've got a budget of 45 million to 60 million. That's pretty much what I've heard over the last 4 or 5 years. Sometimes it might creep to 80, but usually it's in and around that 40 to 45 to 60 million. This year, with the pressure the Cronkies have been under, they have said, I've heard said between 60 and 100 million. So let's just go with, I don't know, pipe dream maybe, but let's just go with 100 million. Again, because of the amortization, when they say we have 100 million pound budget, the 100 million is an amortized budget. So what they're saying is, they're not saying we can only afford to pay 100 million for a player. What they're saying is a package deal, when we break it down per year, we can afford to add 100 million per year to our finances, right? So let's say, again, take the Grealish deal. If we were to buy him for 100 million on a 5-year contract worth 10 million a year, 100 million by 5 years, 20 million a year, 10 million in wages every year means a yearly cost of 30 million. That is 30 million out of the budget of 100 million. That's what that means, right? So with Guendouzi, by selling him now, we're potentially adding 11.2 million to the budget. Getting rid of Ozil added whatever his wage was, which was astronomical. I think it was a good 20-something million. That adds 20-something million to the budget. So hopefully that makes the way the club's dealings in kind of finance, in their finances, a little bit more clear. If you found this informational, if you have any questions, if you want to put any comments or talk to me about it, please feel free to do so. If you've liked this video, then please click that like button. If you feel like this is something people need to hear, please feel free to share. And I'll be making more videos like this, especially coming towards the new season, and as and when we start to see new players in the mighty red and white of Arsenal, I'll be making videos then. So if you've liked some of my content so far, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you for listening, and as always, come on, you Gunners.